Everybody, welcome back to Excel 10 Minute Leaders Live. My name is Graham Brown, joined in the studio today, all the way from the UK, Jan Cavelle. Jan, welcome.
Graham, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be with you today.
Thrilled to have you here. So, we're going to find out about you, your journey, your writings as well, your work. We've got 10 minutes only to do all of that, I'm afraid. It's a bit of a compressed timeline, but are you ready?
I am.
Okay, let's do this then, Jan. So, let's start with the formalities on the business card. What does it say on yours?
It would say retired entrepreneur, now author.
Excellent. That is a good pathway, isn't it? A good journey. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of stories in that. Let's do the retired entrepreneur bit first, and then we'll do the author bit afterwards. What were you an entrepreneur as?
I was self-employed on and off for a long time, but my proper business that I tried to scale up was a furniture manufacturing business for extremely challenging areas to get into.
Wow. Did you actually make the furniture yourself?
Manufacturing in Britain, that odd thing.
Wow. So that must have been like really niche then. If it was in Britain, it must have been either really high end or very niche to be successful.
Both, you're right. It was hitting that high end of the market and as a particular niche, sort of leaping on interior design trends as they were at the time.
Huh. So to help me visualize it and help the audience connect with the kind of things that you would make, there must have been like one piece which was like your star piece. You know, that was the most profitable piece of furniture. That was the one that sold, not necessarily sold the most, but sold well. What was that?
I guess I can't paint a very good picture because we did a lot of bespoke stuff.
Ah,
So it was pretty variable, but we did a lot of furniture in high gloss lacquers and exotic colors and funny finishes. So
and who would
so
buy this stuff?
we sold it through interior designers, never sold it direct. So it was all
Oh,
B2B.
wow. So that was your entrepreneurial career. And then you
It was.
retired. When you retired, didn't you feel like there was something missing? I always wonder when I talk to entrepreneurs who sell businesses or retire, they may retire, but their brain doesn't retire. How was it for you?
It's interesting. I expected to be absolutely lost, and I had debated whether to get out for so long. And if I have regrets, which I don't go into too much, I should have got out a long time earlier. So actually, I was sort of waking up the first day out, I was thinking, wow, this is wonderful. I've done it at long last.
Hmm.
But that was my own fault for not making a decision sooner. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, you're right about the brain, hence the writing,
Hmm.
because I left it for about a month and then thought, I miss business, I miss entrepreneurs, and I miss writing. I've got to do
Hmm.
something.
So what did you start doing with your writing? How did all that begin?
Well, I'd been writing as a stress reliever, believe it or not. It was
Hmm.
my idea of, just zone out. And for a digital publication over here called Real Business, for maybe 6 years, 6, 7 years perhaps before then, while I was running the business. So the first thing I did, I mean, I assumed I would not be writing about business anymore because I was then retired. And like I said, it only took me a few weeks, and I dropped an email to my editor and said, what do I do? I can't write, and I'm missing it. And he said, what's stopping you writing? So I felt slightly silly and
Hmm.
started writing again and went on writing for them for a while. And then it morphed into lots more writing.
Hmm. And a book?
And a book, yeah, which was a crazy idea. It was a dream I'd had always to write a book.
Hmm.
And then I thought I'd better do it about business because I might know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Let's not get carried away. And, so I started this thing. And then I thought, what am I going to do with it? And so I put a submission, first time author, crazy, into Bloomsbury. And they said, come in and see us. And I thought, what? This is amazing. But here I
A
am.
publisher. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, and not a small publisher either.
No,
They're
no.
reasonably well respected, especially in the business circles as well. So, what was the name of your book? What is the name of your book?
The name of the book is called Scale for Success.
Hmm. And what was the story that you wanted to tell with this book?
Well, from my own experiences, I had found that there was this huge battle that not many people talk about when you leap from little startup to trying to grow, people talk about startups, they talk about big companies. They don't talk much about the battle to get between the two. And it's like trying to move from being a toddler straight to being a grown up. There's no teenage years talked about. And I felt really strongly that there ought to be more help, more knowledge available about how to make that transition. And, but not just me, but an awful lot of people do find it really challenging.
And what would that kind of knowledge be? What typically do people get wrong about that phase?
Well, I managed a huge list there, and we haven't got time for the mistakes I made in 10 minutes, but I think people often drift into it without pre-planning. I think that's a very big thing. And you need to really strategize it and get yourself a good roadmap. And of course, then there's the people factor, because it is so vital you have the right team with you. Which I didn't, it must be said. But, they take time to find. You have to assemble the right people and plan it in advance. Go hunting for just the right ones. And then you also need the right support team, of course, because it is tough. And you really need to line up a lot of support. We've got this habit of thinking we are super people as entrepreneurs and we can keep going come what may. And, but we should keep going come what may. And of course we can't if we're not careful, because we're humans.
Yeah, absolutely. Entrepreneurs are strange creatures, aren't they? They tend to be
yes, they
coming
are.
with curses and blessings in the same package, that they have this amazing ability and this creativity and yet have all these blind spots.
Yeah.
And these weaknesses and the stubbornness that made them, but also made them unreceptive to advice.
Yes.
Which has caused so many problems with businesses, hasn't it? Especially when somebody doesn't take on advice, that they can get themselves stuck at that level, that in between startup game to the big company game, that mid-level.
Yeah.
is requiring a different mindset in many ways, isn't it? And
it does, yeah, and you do need advice. But I also think there's, no, that's not fair, but I ran into a lot of bad advice. And that was really tough because I kept on hearing this stuff, starting to apply it not working and losing a sense of who I was. And that's a danger, I think, with you need to retain your authenticity.
What do you mean by that? What kind of advice would people have given you that could have been?
I think, because manufacturing, for a start, is terribly male orientated. And so, there were, as you grow, there are quite a lot of people around who are keeping an eye on whether the business might be available and, all that. So they'll come in and tell you what you're doing wrong, and under guise of helping till you've got no confidence whatsoever anyway. But, necessarily the answer was always, well, you're a female in the wrong sector.
Yeah.
Which was a bit
Did
of a
they
lot,
ever say that directly, or was it?
Oh, yeah,
some
of them did.
Oh, okay. Now they would say it indirectly, but I'm sure years ago that people would said it like directly.
No, they were quite free about it.
Wow.
And
That's tough,
and at best it was try and manage more like a man. And and of course you're trying to be someone you're not, and you're never going to be a good leader unless you're authentic.
Well, what did they mean by manage like a man? Like be more aggressive, be more authoritarian?
Yeah. And also, I think there's a balance between, as you grow, you need to bring systemization and controls more in, but you can't stultify the culture. And the more that that you add the aggression, which just comes over as aggression because it's not natural, to increase controls, and you get a flattened, dead culture very quickly. And then, of course, it's really hard to grow.
Yeah, that does happen quite a bit in those scale companies, doesn't it? And that aggression done negatively creates fear.
Yes.
And fear, like you say about the cultural part, is what hampers growth.
Absolutely.
Because now you can keep the thing going as long as you have a big enough stick to beat people with, or make them fearful of losing their jobs and so on. and that doesn't
I
work.
I so agree, and it was odd because I sort of reversed because I started off a very consultative. This is great. Let's all have fun, and I mean, fun was one of our values. And the more I got advice, the more I was going, well, how many have you done today? And
Yeah.
we're aiming at excellence, and people came, what? This used to be a nice place to work.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, with
Mm.
advice, is that as an entrepreneur, you get a lot of advice. Not all of it is asked for, but you often find that actually, when you look back and reflect on your entrepreneurial career, you knew a lot more than those people did, actually, than these advisors, right? And that's interesting, isn't it? Because that creates doubts in your head at the time, like you say, not being authentic,
Mm.
and may take you off the path, right? I mean, some advisors are great, obviously, but they walked in the same shoes as you. That's
Yeah.
often the difference, isn't it?
I couldn't agree more, and I don't think I would ever listen to anybody again who hadn't, because I don't think people do understand. How can they? And
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say to people, find yourself mentors, find yourself peer groups.
Mm.
Those are tremendously useful because they really understand what you're going through, or your sector's issues, or whatever.
Mm.
But somebody sitting there going, either you're not good enough because we're planning on required to buy your business, or, well, what are you going to do next?
Mm.
Why take up my time? If you go away, I'll work it out. I never got on with that.
No, but getting out there, writing a book about it, I think shows that you can share that journey with people, and they can avoid those mistakes, and they can follow your footsteps as well in their own way, and then learn
Absolutely,
from
in
that.
their own way. In fact, I mean, I didn't feel confident enough to make it all my wisdom in there, so I've
Mm.
involved lots of other entrepreneurs who've contributed as well.
Mm.
So hopefully, but I mean, they bring such value.
Yeah, I imagine they do. Well, all journeys are best done with
Yeah,
other people, aren't they? So, as in all
absolutely.
the great tales. Jan Cavelle, everybody. Jan, where do we find out more about you?
You can go to my website, which is obviously www, but it's jancavelle.co.uk.
Excellent. All right, folks, go and check out Jan Cavelle and her writings as well. Jan, thanks for coming on the show today, and all the best with your writing.
Thank you so much.